Hola clase, I hope you have had a great week back to school. Again, I still miss you guys. Wish I could be seeing you and actually seeing you do these presentations in person, but this is how it's going to have to work here for the end of the year. But I just want to go over a few things today, make sure that you understood everything for the project, and introduce you to a way in which I'm going to be able to see you do your speaking, and might be an easier way to do speaking here in the future. So on Tuesday this week, I gave you the rubric. The first part of the rubric for the project had to do with the coat of arms and then the writing that you were doing for Wednesday's assignment. The bottom part has to do with the presentations. I just want to make sure that you understand a few things. All of the things that are listed there, minus where it says visual. When you do the Flipgrid, I don't think, and maybe you can, and if you can, that would be awesome. If you figure out how to do it, that would be amazing. But if you don't, that's okay. It asks you to do visuals. So student visuals explained to reinforce text and presentation. I can see your coat of arms because you'll be turning that in. So if you can't show it during the Flipgrid, that's nothing to be concerned about, but just make sure that you are presenting about it. I told you that when you go to present, just make sure that when you are presenting that you're not just reading from what you wrote yesterday, that you're actually talking, you're trying to make eye contact with the screen, and we're practicing that talking freely bit, which is what you're going to need to be able to do for the AP exam, which I'm going to talk about here at the end of this video. So please make sure that you are doing that. Just a couple other things. This was what the coat of arms you should have been basing this off of. I had a few people ask me if the examples had to look like this exactly. If you wanted to do a few different symbols within the coat of arms and not just make a big fancy one, you could totally do that. I realize you're doing it on your iPad. You can only do so much, so that's not a big deal. So just make sure that you are putting forth a decent effort. I'm not going to be grading you super hard on how creative or how fancy it looks. But this brings me to the next. So today, when you go to present your project, you're going to use an app called Flipgrid. Flipgrid is available in the apps portal, so make sure that you download that. It's also free to download on your phone, so if for some reason it doesn't work very well on your iPad, you could always try it on the phone. I'm going to go through the steps here. It's pretty easy to use. It's pretty self-explanatory once you get it open, but I'll go through the steps here for you. So step 1 says enter the Flipgrid code. I'm going to give you a link to go to, so you shouldn't need to enter a code. If for some reason it still asks for a code, please just email me and I will send that code to you, but it probably won't since you will have the link. It says to sign into the grid. Make sure you're using your Google email. So that's all you got to do is your Google, your Western email, and then your password. So just make sure you're signing in with your Western email. And then it's going to take you to the grid, and you're going to be able to see my video to you. And in the video, again, I explain what I'm expecting for you for this presentation. Once you've watched that, then you can record your response. So these little symbols are how you go about recording. So the first symbol, you tap to record. So once you tap that symbol, it gives you a 3, 2, 1 countdown, and then you can start to record. Obviously, once you're done, you click it again, and then it stops. Then at the bottom, it'll have a next button. You'll click that button, and it's going to take you to the next slide in which or the next part of this, I guess, part of the process, in which you can review your video. If you're like me, I don't like watching myself again, so I don't usually watch the whole thing, but you can, and you can review the whole video there. After you're done with that, you can click next again. It's going to ask you to take a selfie. This is just so I can see your face when I go to grade. So just make sure that you take a quick selfie. It's going to ask you again to click next. And then you're going to be able to submit your video. So once you've submitted the video to Flipgrid, you do not have to submit anything else to Google Classroom. So you should have submitted your coat of arms and the writing yesterday in yesterday's assignment to Google Classroom, and then like I said, this presentation will be here on Flipgrid, so just make sure that you do it there. If you have any issues with Flipgrid tomorrow, whether it's signing in or figuring it out, just shoot me an email and we can talk through it real quick. It really is pretty easy to use, and it's a great way to assess speaking. All right, the last thing that I want to talk to you guys about today, I had a quick Zoom session on Wednesday about this, but I want to make sure that you have heard it from me if you weren't able to make it to that session. So about the AP exam. The AP exam has been rescheduled to May 22nd at 4 p.m. Now, we are done with school on May 14th. And they said that they're going to be collecting our iPads during that week following, which would be the week of May 22nd. This is a Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I've already told the school, hey, my students are going to need their iPads in order to take this exam. So hopefully we'll figure out some alternate way for the AP students to keep their iPads so they can take their exam. So again, it's May 22nd at 4 p.m. You will need paper and pencil during this test. So they are only covering the interpersonal conversation and the cultural comparison, which are the two speaking portions of the exam. With the pencil and paper, they're going to allow you to listen to the prompts and the actual recording of the interpersonal conversation, and you will actually have to take notes over that. So when we've practiced it, I've given you like an outline of the conversation. They're not going to be giving you that outline. You essentially are going to be listening to the video and kind of creating your own outline. And we're going to be practicing some ways in which we can do that in a good, sufficient way. So I will be giving you my own outlines and stuff like that to practice that. The second thing that you're going to do is the cultural comparison. And that's the same thing. They're going to give you the instructions and the prompt orally, but they're not going to give them to you written down. So you'll have to take notes over what you're supposed to do. After you've done that, it's the same thing that you've been doing as far as you could create a T-chart or a Venn diagram or something along that line. But at first you will need to listen and take notes. So just make sure you have paper and pencil. And then afterwards, you're just doing the speaking like normal, like we've been doing in the past. So we'll be practicing that quite a bit. They said that they're still going to be giving us more information throughout the month of April. I know that Mrs. Yazel is doing a webinar on Friday about all the AP exams, and that she'll be reaching out to the AP students and their parents about all the changes as well. So please be on the lookout for that. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always ask me. I'm also learning, as well as with all the other AP teachers in the United States, about what they're expecting. And as soon as I find out something, I will always communicate that to you. I hope you have a good weekend. I miss seeing you guys. If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here. Have a good weekend, guys.